Trump's board of peace drops $5 billion in Gaza. So while establishment warmongers were planning their next forever war, President Trump just delivered a masterclass in actual diplomacy. His newly formed board of peace is about to unleash a massive $5 billion reconstruction package for Gaza. And the deep state is absolutely losing their minds because they don't want anything good to ever happen. But there's something else happening behind the scenes that changes everything for them. So this isn't just about Gaza. This is about Trump completely rewriting how America approaches foreign policy. For decades, we've watched politicians send our sons and daughters and my friends to die, and sure, your friends, to die in endless wars while defense contractors got rich. Now, Trump is proving that peace can be profitable and powerful, and your tax dollars are finally going towards building instead of bombing. Meanwhile, Iran is watching this diplomatic chess move very carefully because Trump's got that Armada positioned perfectly while offering them one last chance at real negotiations. The establishment hates this because it exposes their war profiteering scheme. The military-industrial complex is real, and 20-plus countries already signed on to Trump's peace accords, proving Trump's America First approach actually makes America a respected leader again. So speaking of healing and restoration, I need to share something personal that goes directly into what we're seeing with Trump's peace initiatives. For years, my wife battled chronic pain and anxiety from her diagnosis. Endless doctor visits, treatments that failed, watching her struggle daily. It absolutely broke my heart. The medical establishment kept pushing expensive treatments that didn't work. Then Jonathan Otto introduced us to red light therapy, and everything changed. Her pain vanished, anxiety lifted, and she got her life back. Just like Trump is bringing real solutions to Gaza while the establishment pushes failed war policies like usual, red light therapy offers actual healing while Big Pharma pushes pills. This NASA-developed technology works at the cellular level, boosting energy, reducing inflammation, improving sleep. And my wife's transformation was incredible. The same way Trump's board of peace is transforming how we approach conflicts. That's the power of looking beyond establishment solution, whether it's foreign policy or personal health. But here's what the media won't tell you. Hungary has been part of this board of peace from day one. Hungary. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio just highlighted their crucial role. This isn't some hastily thrown together photo op. This has been planned for months. And Trump's been building this coalition while Iran faces a choice. Real diplomacy or face the consequences of Operation Midnight Hammer 2.0 and the strongest military the world has ever known. Let's get into it. We've got a tweet coming in from Rapid Response 47. It says, at POTUS on Iran, I think they want the consequences of not making a deal. Let's check it out.
What are you expecting from these Iran talks in Geneva tomorrow?
So I'll be involved in those talks indirectly, and they'll be very important. We'll see what can happen. It's been typically, Iran's a very tough negotiator. They're good negotiators, or bad negotiators. I would say they're bad negotiators because we could have had a deal instead of sending the B-2s in to knock out their nuclear potential, and we had to send the B-2s. I hope they're going to be more reasonable. They want to make a deal.
Have you been told that a deal is next to impossible?
No, I think they want to make a deal. I don't think they want the consequences of not making a deal. They want to make a deal.
So when you look at Trump's difference between how Trump is handling the Iranian crisis and the Iranian nuclear program, and you compare that to Biden, you compare that to Obama sent them billions of dollars on pallets of cash. Biden backed up, lifted the tariffs, and not the tariffs, lifted all the embargoes and things that Iran had, and they were giving them the house. That allowed Hezbollah to resurface. That allowed ISIS to come out and start going. That allowed all the insurgents and all the rockets getting fired into Gaza Strip and going against Israel. That's what that was a consequence of. Iran understands and speaks one language, strength. And Trump, he's fluent in that. And he doesn't flinch. He doesn't mess around. If the Ayatollah learned anything from what happened in Venezuela, he's not safe. And we have the technology and the armaments to make sure if he doesn't do the deal, that we're good on it. So this opening threat from Trump sets up perfectly for our next tweet. His diplomats are now explaining exactly what the diplomatic strategy looks like. From Rapid Response 27, from the U.S. ambassador to NATO and at POTUS is willing to give real diplomacy a chance to solve this peacefully. But if it doesn't, as he said, this will be a very bad day for Iran. Let's see.
Obviously, the president is giving peace and diplomacy a chance But he's also been very clear that the number one state sponsor of terror can't have nuclear weapons or the capacity to build them. And he has been very clear about that. He obliterated their program once with Operation Midnight Hammer. And certainly that threat looms while having a armada very close to that region. So, President Trump, in this case, holds all the decisions, but he's willing to give real diplomacy a chance to solve this peacefully. But if it doesn't, as he said, it will be a very bad day for Iran.
Iran's on X and Twitter putting out all sorts of statements saying that America's been defeated and we don't know what's going on. We're not going to get through it. They didn't see when we had those B-2s fly over them. They didn't even know we were in their airspace. They reacted to it afterwards. They tried to, at least. What are they going to do when hundreds of F-22s or hundreds of F-35s or even the 47s are out there? We have the B-1 Lancers. You have an entire armada, 2 aircraft carriers, enough to destabilize a whole continent, is parked off of Iranian shores. The USS Gerald R. Ford just entered into the area. That was the same carrier strike group that did the attacks and removed Maduro from Venezuela. They're now right off the coast of Iran. They're not playing games. So notice how NATO ambassador echoes Trump exact messaging. Now watch how the United States ambassador takes his peace through strength theme even further. From Rapid Response 47 again today. He's a peace president. He will always put diplomacy first. Give it a chance. Let's see what they say.
He's a peace president. He will always put diplomacy first and give it a chance. Yeah. But it is backed by the very real stick of the United States military that we demonstrated to the world through Operation Midnight Hammer can be incredibly effective. So Iran has to give up its enrichment capability. It has to give up its already enriched, highly enriched uranium. There's no reason except for a weapon that it's enriched to that degree. Also, its support for terrorism and its long-range ballistic missiles. All of those things, we've been very clear, are on the table. We'll see. They should listen. The president means what he says when he means he's going to take decisive action.
I know.
There is no near-peer adversary that can take the United States. And there are simulations that have been run that if almost every country on earth got together and tried to invade America, they wouldn't be able to do it. We have technology, armaments, and capabilities that other countries can't even dream of. And if Iran, half the time they're driving, those Toyota trucks through the desert, they think they're the best thing in the world. They don't stand a chance. They don't even. They don't. There's no comparison. No ability for them to come at us. So the United Nations ambassador just name-dropped Operation Midnight Hammer, and the Board of Peace, our next tweet, breaks down exactly what results this new approach is delivering. From Rapid Response 47 again, a lot of rapid response today. POTUS is not focused on process or 80-year-old institution. He's focused on results. And what has the Board of Peace and his 20-point peace plan already gotten done? The ceasefire is in place, the hostages are out, and the aid is flowing.
Well, you're hearing and seeing, I certainly did out in Munich, a lot of hand-wringing from the Europeans that the president's creating this alternative to the UN. I reminded them all that actually it was the UN Security Council that unanimously voted in the Board of Peace. 13-0, and I was proud to help shepherd that effort through. Look, the president's not focused on process or 80-year-old institutions. He's focused on results. And what has the Board of Peace and his 20-point peace plan already gotten done? The ceasefire is still in place. Shaky, but still in place. The hostages are out. The aid is flowing. We now have a technocratic committee of Palestinians to restore government services. We have a fund that international donors are contributing to, that $5 billion, and we have a stabilization force of international troops. 8,000 pledged so far, and more will be coming this week. So again, back to the kind of good parts of the UN, these countries need that stamp of international law in order to contribute their troops in their own domestic constituencies. So we're getting it back to basics, back to focused on peace and security, and stop trying to be everything to everybody with these ridiculous committees.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Like, the Trump administration hates the committees that never get anything done. Just like when you guys go to work and they have a meeting to discuss something, Trump administrations get crap done. That is their main focus. That's their primary goal, is to get things done, whatever it takes to secure peace around the world. 7 wars already stopped, And I think that's not even close to being done yet. So a perfect setup here. The United Nations ambassador is bragging about Trump's results, and now we're getting pushback that reveals just how unprecedented this Board of Peace really is. From AKA, it says, Rick Crawford, the UN has potential. It's really kind of sad that President Trump has nobody come up with this Board of Peace. Let's see.
Tell me about Gaza. This Board of Peace is set to have, I think, $5 billion set aside. What's it going to do, and how do you explain that to the American people? $5 billion going into Gaza.
Well, this is a masterclass in leadership, is what you're seeing here. And I'm going to go back to one of the comments that Secretary Rubio made at the Munich Security Conference, and that is that the UN had potential. The UN has been around since the 50s, post-World War II. So they should have realized their potential by now. It's really kind of sad that President Trump had to come up with this Board of Peace, but there's a reason he did it. Multiple reasons. One is he wanted to make sure that multiple countries were playing a role in the direction of Gaza, making sure that it was being taken care of. The other was, financially. These individual countries are contributing to that effort. So it's not just the United States unilaterally stepping in, trying to fix a problem, but it's building a coalition of support around an important problem that is going to be solved by many, many partners. And so I think it's a stroke of genius.
And it's incredible that he even got Russia to sign on to the Board of Peace. Whether anybody agrees with that or not, it doesn't matter. If they're willing to talk and willing to come on the Board of Peace, it's incredible. There's open communications and dialogue. The Board of Peace is doing things that the United Nations couldn't do it because there isn't 400 agendas happening at the same time. They're not trying to push the alphabet soup mafia on us. These people are out there focused on one thing, making people safer, making them wealthier, and making the world a safer place. And they're getting it done. And again, Iran's not going to even know when we go at them. It's going to be silent. They won't even know it's happening until it happened. It's going to be silent, folks. And that is not, just wait. If that, I hope to God they don't have to do it. But when it happens, they won't even know it's happening until it's already mostly done. And Crawford's criticism actually validates Trump's approach. And speaking of validation, our next source shows just how big the Board of Peace is getting internationally. And it is a big deal internationally. From the Epic Times, we have the Board of Peace members offer $5 billion for Gaza reconstruction. That's from just the members, $5 billion coming out of people's pockets from member nations saying, hey, we like the plan. We want it to be a multinational place where people can go in. And they have independent peacekeepers that are going to be in the area to make sure everybody plays along. It's incredible. So more than 20 countries have signed on to the U.S. president's initiative so far. Let's see what it has to say here. Yeah, it's just an image, guys. But it says the Board of Peace members off $5 billion. So the Epic Times just told us over 20 countries have joined. Now we're getting live coverage of Trump's next major Board of Peace announcement. From the SABC News, watch, U.S. President Trump is set to chair a high-level Board of Peace meeting later this week, where he expected to announce a significant financial and security commitment to Gaza. Finally, real results, not that Gaza floating dock thing that Biden did. Remember when it fell apart after like 3 weeks and we spent $100 million on it? It was stupid and an embarrassment for the United States.
More questions than answers, if we're being honest tonight, you're right, in terms of just how this Board of Peace is going to operate, particularly given the widespread and building view out there that this is now being seen as an alternative to the processes that are, captured in the UN Charter, particularly the role of the United Nations Security Council. Let me read you what Donald Trump, the president of the US, posted late Sunday in terms of this inaugural meeting that will now be held at the Institute of Peace, the renamed Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace, among some of the buildings that now feature the president's name in Washington, D.C. He writes that just last month, 24 distinguished founding members joined me in Davos to celebrate its official formation and present a bold vision for civilians in Gaza and then ultimately beyond Gaza, Unati. He talks about world peace in that context. And this is what is so concerning to some of the members or countries out there that have not joined the Board of Peace. He writes that the Board of Peace will meet at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace in Washington on February 19th. Where they will announce $5 billion towards Gaza's reconstruction. So the question then becomes, in terms of the makeup of this board, there was an article in the charter that talked about member states that wanted to seek permanent status on the board, contributing some $1 billion to that process. So the question then becomes, if you're announcing $5 billion towards Gaza's humanitarian relief and reconstruction, are we talking about 5 countries now that have pledged $1 billion each to be permanent members of the board? Or where does this $5 billion come from? In addition to that, he also talks about standing up the personnel for this international stabilization force in Gaza that is essentially going to be mandated with the peace and security architecture of Gaza, the disarming, demilitarization of Hamas. The question then becomes, who is going to be contributing troops to this international stabilization force, which was also stood up by the UN Security Council resolution last November? We have seen reports that Indonesia has announced the willingness to provide some 8,000 troops on the ground. But in terms of when the stabilization force is stood up, when it will be on the ground, boots on the ground, these are some of the questions we still have. And this is what we'll certainly be looking forward to in terms of observing that meeting in DC on Thursday.
And that's how, like, President Trump is doing so much with this stuff. And he's getting things done. Like, can you imagine the United Nations trying to do this? We'd be talking about it for 5 more years. And they would try to figure out somehow to get the rainbow flags up on every building, along with 100,000 other things. It just doesn't get along with the cultures out there. So when you bring in countries from across the world that are committing 1,000 troops, 500 troops, 50 guys on rotation to help secure the area, it's incredible. That's such a beautiful plan because it's not one country. It's not the United States having troops standing at every corner. It's all these people that are going along with it. But I want to see what happens when all the thousands of people that Iran snuck across the border. Even Sean Ryan and other major networks are talking about that. It's like, okay, what do we do about the people that are here? And we need some peace in the United States too. But what Trump's doing abroad is incredible. So SABC is teasing Trump's upcoming announcement, and our next tweet reveals exactly which key ally is playing a crucial role in making this happen. From WashingtonAmerica.net, it says Secretary Rubio highlights Hungary's key role from day one and the Board of Peace. Not everybody is on the Board of Peace, but Hungary has been there from the very first day. And I think they did announce they were the first one to cut a check to get on the board, $1 billion to join this. But they have to have skin in the game. That's how Trump plays. If you don't have skin in the game, why the hell are you here? Watch.
I want to thank you on behalf of the President of the United States for the indispensable role you played on the Board of Peace. Not everyone's on the Board of Peace. And not everyone, for different reasons, they can be participants or not be participants, but you are, and you've been there from the very first day. And again, a testament to the personal relationship between President Trump and Prime Minister Orban that I think speaks volumes. The role you play geopolitically, the role you play even outside of this region in affairs involving the Middle East is invaluable and indispensable, and we are very appreciative of it.
Well, we're appreciative of what you guys are doing also, and it's incredible to see the world come together on so many things. And it's nice. I feel proud to be an American right now, knowing that our president is bypassing all the traditional norms to do things that's benefiting the world. He will be known as a peace president if the history books are written fairly. It depends on who the next presidents are, if it's fair or not. But Rubio just highlighted Hungary as a day one supporter. Now we're getting the big reveal of what Trump's Board of Peace was about to unveil. For KYMA, it states that President Trump says the newly formed Board of Peace will reveal a multi-billion-dollar humanitarian and reconstruction package for the Gaza later this week. And again, what these people are doing is just absolutely incredible. The coalitions that are being built and all of these things that are happening, it's just, I'm proud. If you guys are proud of what the president is doing, what Marco Rubio is doing, and all these countries are signing on, let us know your thoughts in the comments. If it's not good, tell us that too. We want to hear about it. We want to know that Gaza is going to be protected, that there's a plan for Palestine, that there's a plan for Israel, and there's a plan for Saudi Arabia and Europe. And all these people that are joining this Board of Peace, guess what? They're starting to follow the America First stance, but for their country first. Look what Italy's doing. Look what Japan is doing. Look what Poland is doing. Poland's probably one of the most secure and best defended countries in Europe right now because they're not playing the open borders game that everybody else is. Britain's under fire. They're trying to arrest people for putting out bad tweets. And this Board of Peace, I think, has an opportunity to really help reset everything back to the way it should be. So the genius of Trump's strategy is becoming crystal clear. He's got Iran surrounded with that armada, 2 aircraft carriers, and more armaments than anything else. And their nuclear program has already been obliterated once before, and now he's showing the world what American leadership actually looks like. Strength through peace, prosperity through reconstruction. Iran knows this could be their last chance at survival. I hope they don't play games. So this is exactly why we elected Trump, folks. This is why I voted for him. And if you voted for Trump for these reasons too, let us know in the comments. While career politicians play games, he's delivering real results that benefit everybody equally. He's doing this for the Democrats. He's doing this for the people that hate America. He's doing this for everyone because he cares. He doesn't want people to go down. He doesn't want people dead. He wants the world to progress. $5 billion of reconstruction instead of destruction. 20 countries choosing cooperation over conflict. Iran facing their moment of truth. The Board of Peace isn't just changing Gaza, it's changing how America leads the world. And I'm here for it. I voted for this. We're not the world police anymore, guys. We haven't been. We're the world's peacemakers, and that's how it should be. And that terrifies the establishment and the military-industrial complex. So tell me, do you believe Trump's Board of Peace will finally bring lasting stability to the Middle East? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. And while you're showing your support, check out the Next News merch shop to represent America First movement that's changing everything. God bless.
The system controls information. Information control is power. I want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.